Welcome to the Grid Culture Podcast, where we talk about Formula One and Formula One fantasy using Grid Rival. We're here to break down the Hungarian Grand Prix. Let's run it. All right, so what did you think and when did you watch it?
We had another meetup, and they're going swimmingly well. This one we had some technical difficulties, but we worked through it. They use like this Apple TV, and it's very delayed. So when you like push the remote, it like you're pressing enter, and it like goes to a different letter, and then presses enter, and you're just like, what the hell? And I guess ESPN was down. I don't know. That's what they were saying. So she's like, do you guys want to watch anything else while we wait? And I'm like, no, let's just try something else. So I literally downloaded the F1 TV app, sponsor us, and logged into my account, and we watched the race. And so no, I just told her, I was like, look, can we just keep this logged in, and that way we have no more issues for the rest of the season? And she's like, yes,
you should
please.
buy like a $15 like Fire Stick or Google Play or something like that.
No, it worked fine. It's just like once we got it working, it was great.
Nice. Yeah, that's fun, man. I'm glad that that's working out. Did you have more people, more show up?
So we lost a few, or like weren't. So like last week we were at 16, and this week we were at like 11 or 12. But we did get some new faces, but there was just like some people that didn't show up from last time. And then like
that's gonna happen.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, so there
especially when you're like rebroadcasting, and people watch it early, or they just can't make it. But like that Austin Grand Prix, that's gonna be fun for y'all. You'll have a good time.
Yeah. There was like, but then there was like, because we've had the same waitress every time, and she's great. But she was like, you guys, there's two people downstairs that are like actively watching the race. She's like, I don't know if you guys want to go down there and talk to them. And so like we went down there and like talked to these two people that were like watching the race, and she's like, the people were like, oh, the waitress told us, but we were like, there's like two laps left, and we didn't want to just like walk up there and be weird. And I was like, no, follow the Facebook page or the Instagram page, and we post all the race info when we're going to do them.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, for us it was 10 a.m. So another morning on the couch, just
must be
enjoying
nice.
the race. But this one I was up a little early because it's 10 a.m. So I was at the gym and had already had coffee and was up a little bit more,
Getting your pump on.
Get my pump on. Get my active fit life on. But it was a race. Do you want to get into that race report?
Let's do it. I already have it pulled up.
And for me, this week was all right. With Hulkenberg being someone who is no longer a star, or was no longer a star, I still had him, but he's always a good pickup. He didn't do amazing. He didn't score any points, but he didn't DNF, and that's all I can ask for at this point. But for me, it was an okay race. I feel like you and I were around the same in points. It was a surprise. I had Daniel Ricciardo and Albon, as well as Piastri and Norris.
I think our lineup is very similar.
Yeah, I think we have the same lineup, but I starred Albon. Yes.
Yep.
So I just beat you by that much points because the star on Ricciardo was just a little bit more.
Oh, you have Piastri, I have Hamilton.
Oh, okay.
But everything else is the same, and then I starred Albon. Ricciardo's such a risky star. I was thinking about dropping him, but then I'm like, I'll just keep him and figure it out. Because I was thinking about picking up Stroll.
Yeah, it was between Ricardo and Stroll for me, but Ricardo on FP3 just did a little bit better. I had watched right before qualifying that morning. I had just watched, and Ricardo he's looking pretty fast. He's looking smooth. And
he wants that Red Bull seat.
yeah, and it's I want him to work hard and want that, so I think that's what there's a little bit of love there that I picked him up. Also, there's a lot of hate, and not hate, but disdain for Stroll. Like, he's gotten me points and stuff, but I'm not a big fan of him. I don't know who is.
I mean, I wouldn't. I would pick Stroll over any Alpine team or driver right now, but that's just me.
And that is I'm not saying a driver fault. I think that's just a whole organizational fault right now.
Yeah.
But I mean, can we really go to Toto Baggins right now, because he's not missing.
No,
and
he's really not.
He's just there's no beating him. If you look at the driver standings in our group, he is so high that there's just no stopping. It's because he has all the money in the world. He's able to have Mercedes, Russell, and Norris and Piastri. So he's only has 2 drivers that are low level.
Yeah, I mean, George Russell he still got him a lot of points, but in all honesty, he didn't have the best weekend. But the fact that he's got 3 top tier drivers and a very good constructor, that just goes to show how much money he has right now.
Yeah, and I think once you're running with it, it's easy to take off in this league format.
Max to Merck, he had a come from behind. Like, I don't know that we've seen him at all this season, and he had a good race.
That's a great lineup.
Yeah, he had a good lineup.
Yeah, that Racing Bulls pickup is actually pretty good.
Yeah,
because one of them made points and they both finished pretty high. So that would have been big. Man, that's a good one. I mean, I dropped Leclerc, so this was, for me, this strategy this last week. I've just been paying the early release fee and getting through it. Actually, this is my first week that I won't be able to pay the early release fee because I have no money I capped out almost perfectly on my team. So although I did go up 1.1 million, I can't pay the early release fee.
Maximer also did not lose any money this week. He had just strictly profit of 4.8.
4.8. Wow. That's excellent. I mean, that's what we're seeing. And we've got one more race before basically the halfway point, summer break. So we'll see what happens there. But I'm pretty good on that. And that was the race report.
Pretty simple. Everyone's points were pretty much the same. It was just really hard to get a read on who to pick up, honestly. I mean, especially Pacific Coast, I feel like I miss out on a full practice. Like, unless I get up at the butt crack of dawn to watch FP3, I have to go back and rewatch FP1 and FP2, and sometimes I don't get to it until Saturday evening, just with my weekend schedules. But
I'm watching it. I'm usually watching it, or the highlights, right before qualifying in the morning. But yeah, that one has been so hard to keep up with in the morning. Yeah, this one, they call it the Monaco without the walls.
Yeah,
so
even they were talking about how hard it is to pass, and it's like there's a few spots to pass on the track. But let's get into the race.
I mean, yeah, I mean, for the most part, this race, to me, it was fairly exciting because I'm very excited this season to see more people in contention. Um,
Yeah, 7
so
winners.
when 7 winners,
Huge.
I mean, that's a crazy season. And going into this is the end of a regulation, you know, where you would normally see domination at this point. But like, uh, we had some everything in this race boiled down to strategy. And we can get into a whole thing of strategy, and we're going to, because that's all there was, is blunders or success stories. I mean, I think Mercedes won. As far as strategy,
I think for Lewis they did, but
Yes.
but Mercedes, half of that team really bombed it that whole weekend. George running out of gas in quali, not setting a good lap time when he should have. That was a huge loss. Huge loss.
That was a weird thing. I don't know if that was just like with George and his personal like thing going on, but that's weird. Like maybe it's just like inexperience. Like I feel like sometimes Hamilton just has that knowledge of like, no, we can't do that because we'll run out of gas, or you know, like he just understands that. Whereas George, I feel like he's
the rain
he's a little bit too.
The rain played a factor as well. You know what I mean? I don't think that because parts of this track were slick. It wasn't pouring, but I think it really messed up his ability to get that good lap time in. And out in Q1 that's a big deal. You know what I mean? Like, especially with how good that Mercedes was on, that's a huge loss. I would argue that Mercedes half won this weekend because Lewis was on point. I think Lewis
and
had
I would say for the race, their strategy was better.
Yeah.
And I think that they've always proved that on the race for sure. I think they pitted Lewis correctly. Ferrari, we just talked about this a little earlier. Like they tend to do a better strategy when they're actually listening to their drivers and not just assuming things.
I think the moment the pit wall gets involved with Ferrari, there goes the race. It's like the pit wall is not watching the same race that is happening in front of them.
They're just out somewhere. I don't know what they're doing, and it just feels like they're just like reading a Ferrari manual back there, and they're just like, yeah, Ferrari go fast,
checking,
and Ferrari win.
We are checking.
Why aren't we winning?
We are checking.
You know, and it's not like they just need to get it together in a better fashion. But also, I mean, their cars aren't fast. I'm hoping with Lewis next year in the off season, he's able to help them test and help them get to a stage where they're just set and ready.
I just don't.
And also,
go ahead.
Another win for Lewis is, I'm just going to change it because we can go into Ferrari's blunders for
days
ever. We can have a whole episode that's 45 minutes long. But Lewis has his 200th podium, which is pretty big.
That's so crazy,
record breaking. And then imagine being Piastri, your first podium is with Lewis Hamilton.
Well, we'll get into that.
That's, to me, that's pretty epic, and I am very, very, very happy for Oscar. I think that he feels what we all feel about that, and let's just get into it because there's not a lot to talk about.
We'll save that for. I got a few more notes. What the hell, Alpine? What are you doing? What are you doing? You literally replaced every part on that car last race, and you've had 2 DNFs on that same car back to back. Like, what are you doing? Why? I'm telling you, man, my conspiracy theory is that they're trying to build the next Wrexham.
Really?
Yeah, that's the show that they made with Ryan Reynolds and
They wanna bring it down. They want to build it back up.
Bottom them out. They want to be the worst team on the grid so they can build them back up. Which they're succeeding at. They're doing a very good job of being the worst team on the track.
Yeah, they're just bickering, and
Sargent had a decent race. He showed up and he didn't get 20th, and I mean he didn't get 19th, and that was cool. I think Albon
yeah,
had a decent race, except for there were some bad calls. I don't know if you remember the Albon just kind of like, what are we doing to his engineer?
no, I didn't
Yeah,
see
there was a
that.
moment where Albon was just like, what are we doing? I can't remember exactly what he said, but he went off a little bit on his engineer. There was a lot. I think the summary of this weekend was the comms, like the radio
It was
communications was just like
it was F1 hissy fits everywhere
beautiful.
between Yuki, Max.
Max was
You
another
know,
big one,
the
and then
only
McLaren.
one who didn't have a crazy hissy fit was our race winner, because he never has a hissy fit. I think one of the commentators were like, that was the calmest a driver has been during their first race win on comms ever. Like, normally people are like,
Yeah, we can
whoa,
get
yeah.
into that now. We can get into that now. McLaren, what are you doing? We can hear you. We can hear you. Why are you doing this? You single-handedly as a team showed your ass this weekend. Like, how do you have a 1-2? You have a rookie, not a rookie driver because this is his second season, but he came in and he had a great race. Like a great race. You took that away from him, and then instead of just sticking to your guns, put your foot in your mouth, and you made it a whole debacle. Like, you took that race win away from Piastri instead of letting your drivers, duke it out. And we talked about this earlier, but there was conversation about, could Norris have beaten Piastri even without the pit stop? I don't agree. I think Piastri would have, would have gotten it had they not screwed him on the pit stop, on the so-called
Yeah,
undercut that they were trying to stop, when really I don't think that there was a risk of Lewis's undercut. I think they should have pitted Piastri first, and it would have, played out, and he would have, he managed his tires well. He had a great race. He had a great start. I don't know. I think McLaren really showed their ass this weekend, and it'll be interesting. I mean, as the season moves on, I think that this will be a pivotal race.
I think so. I think so too. I have a little bit of thoughts about the ideas behind it. I think McLaren as a whole, Zach Brown has always been about this like universal thing, and he's been
There.
about the team.
I don't think he was there this weekend.
It doesn't matter if he's there. He's got team orders. He could call from anywhere. But I think he was. No, he was at Indy.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Or I saw a video where they were watching, either it was Oscar winning or IndyCar winning at one of the races.
Yeah.
But anyways, I think it was team orders, because to have two winning drivers on the track, two podium sitters on the track, when they go to try to get more sponsors, try to like show his team, he's still building McLaren as this giant conglomerate in racing sports. So he's still building it up. He wants this global mecca, and I think that spreading the wealth and in such an easy race for them to do it at was what I think was the idea of it. But yes, I do definitely agree that they basically shot themselves in the foot by treating what's their so-called like lead driver like that. Like, I just think they should have just been like, race it out, boys.
Yeah.
You guys are doing great. Just stay safe. We want the 1-2. Our ultimate goal is to have constructors. They just need to tell them their ultimate goal, and they're smart enough guys that they're gonna get it together.
Yeah. I think they knew that they took that race away from Piastri. I think they knew they took it away. And in order to save face, they made the call that they did. I think that they embarrassed themselves by the radio communications. Again, back to my point. We can hear you literally. Like, I mean, at what point does Norris just kind of turn his fucking radio off and just go? You know what I mean? That's what Max would have done.
Honestly,
that's what Schumacher would have done. I mean, I don't know. I'm happy with the turnout of the race, but at the same time, I think that it was very wrong for McLaren to do what they did.
Yeah,
it's just my humble.
But in
opinion.
the end, this is not a solo sport. This is a team sport.
Yeah, but these guys don't get
these drivers.
These drivers don't get in the car and say, "I want to win second." You know what I mean? None of them.
I understand that. I understand that, but like, I mean, of course, and that's when we focus on the drivers. But in all, like the people who put the car together for Piastri, all those people deserved that win. And there's a lot more people than just the driver behind. And I think there's a lot to say to that. But yes, McLaren, you shit the bed.
As a team, you shit the bed. Those two drivers crushed it. I'm very impressed with where that car is at right now. I think it's killing it. It's going to make the season very interesting. I think the only thing that I'm interested to see how it plays out is because we've had 7 winners this season. Can they fight Max for P1? I don't know. I don't think so. I think if they keep spreading these wins, there's going to need to be a front runner. There's going to need to be someone that pulls ahead and is consistently winning in order for anyone to have a chance at P1.
And we would need at least 2, if not 3 DNFs for Max in this next half, because he got in a wreck, and we were just talking about it. He got in a wreck and he walked away. His car was in the air.
Anything.
He still finished 5th.
Yeah,
5th.
I don't know. I mean, him and Norris literally tapped each other 2 races ago.
Car wrecked.
Yeah, the car was done.
He still finished.
Yeah, he still finished. But there was no damage to the tires. Like, he was able to just literally run off, get back on the track, and lost a place to Leclerc.
Yeah. And that was it.
No, I think he finished in front of Leclerc. I think he literally just traded places with Hamilton.
Yes. Well, Hamilton was in front, kind of.
I have to look it up because I don't remember where he placed in relation to.
He got 5th.
Leclerc.
He got 5th. Leclerc passed him.
Okay. But still, like, that's crazy to me that car survived. 2, I think the biggest thing with Red Bull for me right now is, did Newey already retire? Because in the progression of that car, it is not progressing, 1, like Red Bull is expected to progress, and 2, it's not showing up, and 3, their strategy was terrible.
Yes.
Every time they
I think that they are having problems with those cars, though.
Yeah.
Because we're getting into a series of back-to-back races that are different. That are different in, like, this was the hottest race it has been in a long time. And there's just a lot of, I think, components that they're messing up.
Yeah, but what are they going to do when they get to the Middle East?
I mean, I don't know, but I think by the time the Middle East comes, if he still gets 5th for the next 10 races, he'll still win.
Yeah, and again, it goes back to, I think unless there's a front runner, no one's going to touch Max's world champion. I think the fight will be constructors, and with the way that Perez is performing and Max not winning first, he can't carry it. McLaren's going to come for that constructors, and they're going to win it.
And
easily.
McLaren just passed
Ferrari.
Ferrari.
Yeah. I think
by
that
like 4 points or something like that.
I think that they will not. My prediction is that Red Bull will not win constructors this year.
I will second that prediction because I don't want it to be. I want McLaren in that seat, and I want to see a grid where your constructors and your champion are not always
It's
the
two
same.
different battles.
And yeah,
It's not just an easy win.
Yeah. But other than that, I mean,
sorry, I was going to bring up one other point because I was thinking about it. Like, obviously, the teams have number 1 and number 2 drivers, but I think the way that McLaren handled that situation was very poor. And I kind of go back to comparing it to Lewis and Valtteri with their time at Mercedes. Like, sometimes you just got to throw this number 2 driver a bone. And I feel like it was just not handled well at all.
Well, it felt like they were begging and pleading, and it just
think about our Sunday conversations.
Yeah, it felt like if they were talking to like their little child, and it wasn't just like, hey, team orders are Piastri to win, that's it. Don't beg and plead. If he can't catch up, take it. Blah blah. Like, I don't know. It just felt like they were just like, come on. Like they were just like, come on, Norris. Like, we really need you to do this for us.
It sounded like he was going to lose his job if Norris didn't give that spot back. That's what it sounded like.
I know his race engineer is totally not calling any shots. He's just
doing
taking orders.
Told, yeah.
He's like they're telling me if you don't do it, I'm gonna lose right now.
The other one was I think we have to talk about it, is GP and Max's interactions back and forth. Him calling him childish because he doesn't want to call another team out on the radio because it was a racing incident.
It's just childish. He's like, you weren't you didn't break out of the apex or something like that, where it was like, it clearly was a racing incident. And I think regardless of who wants to point blame, that's what it was. Because Lewis was going into the turn just as fast to try to battle, and he couldn't tour. He even said it over comms, like, hey man, try to turn in. He locked up, and then Max also took that bold cut in and he locked up. Just gonna happen. Other than that, I mean, Yuki on his he's usually been very professional lately, and this was the first time he was like, just leave me alone.
I don't, again, he made the comment about, it would be really weird if Liam Lawson got that seat, but I love Yuki. I think he's hilarious on and off the track. He's a consistent driver, just a very consistent driver. But I do not see him in the Red Bull. I just don't see him in that seat. And
I don't see Yuki stepping up to be a number 1 driver at any team.
No.
I see him as like a Magnussen for the long term. Like, he's going to be a consistent driver to get teams up, but I don't see him as a top tier teammate, where Danny Ricciardo has been looked at like that before. And Liam Lawson is actually supposed to be one of the best young drivers to come out right now, and he deserves a seat. I mean,
if we're getting into that part of the conversation, I had some thoughts about Liam Lawson more recently. I think that where that Red Bull car is right now, I think if you put a rookie driver, not a rookie, but a newer driver in that car, they would struggle. I think that if Perez is having the problems that he has, putting aside that the fact that he was kind of doing the same thing last year, I think even Max is struggling with that car right now. And Max is a tremendous driver. And I think that if you put a Liam Lawson in that car, you might kill his confidence, because I don't think that car is where it should be. I don't think that car is where we all expected it to be at this point in the season. I feel like everyone around them is getting better, and Red Bull has kind of taken 10 steps back.
No, I agree. I think that the best alternative for them, I think, is to give that to Ricciardo. He's already been a second to Max. You know that he's gonna like be okay with team orders. He's happy to be there. He's
He'll
earned
be
his
able to fly
place.
by the seat of his pants in that car.
Yeah,
I and he's at the end of his career. No, because I want Liam Lawson in a seat regardless of where, like that's my stance on Liam Lawson. I just get nervous that if you put a Liam Lawson in that car, you will kill his confidence.
yeah. I mean,
And if we're moving on to,
I mean,
go ahead.
you never know. You never know, and I agree.
If we're moving on to Cody's whiteboard today, I only have two things that I'd like to talk about, and I don't even really need to talk about it because I'm just going to do is hang this up, and we're all going to say, "I agree."
Oh, you think so?
No, I mean these are the two questions: what the fuck Mercedes and what the fuck Signs. The only thing that I can put together, putting these two fucking words on this whiteboard, is that Signs goes to Mercedes, and they just need to fucking say it already. That's it. You know what I mean? I don't think. I mean, why are they both holding out so long? Prediction.
Okay.
When do you think that those, before summer break or after summer break?
So I have some thoughts on a lot of that. I think Sainz is going to go to Williams, and
That's such a
why I think Sainz is go to Williams is because I don't think Mercedes wants. I don't think they care for a driver like that. I think they know that they want something new. But also the reason why I think he would go to Williams is because of Vowles. Vowles has been doing extreme things to modernize Williams, and then
Bro, they
the
can't
biggest
even
news,
show up to
the
races
biggest
with their car parts.
Hold on. Because they're a small team, they don't have a lot of money. But there is a rumor, and it's a pretty big one that I heard.
I know.
And it was from Jeremy Clark, who says that Adrian Newey's looking for houses in Hertfordshire, or somewhere in England, where the Williams factory is.
I mean, what's the point of Newey going there if he can't even afford to fucking make a car? What's the point?
Because he started there.
Well, whoop-de-doo. They can't.
He could be capping
They're
up
a
his
smaller
thing.
team. They can't even afford to bring a car every weekend. I mean, they have. I will give them that. But barely. Like, I mean, it's only a matter of time before that team gets acquired.
That's my thoughts on that, because I think that you're talking about Alpine being like a Wrexham, but only because they're looking for like celebrities to like invest into
They
them.
already had the
But
celebrities
Williams,
invest.
well, yeah, well, before they tanked their team. But I think Williams has done massive strides. They're not the shittiest team on the grid anymore. They're definitely better than Stake, Sauber, and they're better than Alpine right now.
I mean,
So-
Albon is a great driver, and even he is struggling in that car right now.
I think Albon is a okay driver, and he's doing good in that car right now. Logan Sargent is a bad driver and a crappy car, and I think that's why they want someone better. And I think that they could get there if they have a Carlos Sainz in the car. I think Carlos Sainz is a better driver than Albon.
I think if Sainz makes that move, he kills his career. I think if he goes to Mercedes, he has a larger chance of ever being on that podium. I do not think he does it in Williams.
We're in a weird transition period where you don't know what the next 2 years are going to be.
I know that if anyone's going to have the better car when the engine regulations come back is Mercedes. It's not Williams.
Mercedes.
Okay,
doesn't Williams use Mercedes engines?
Yeah, but where was Williams when Mercedes was so dominant? Again, if Williams wants him and Williams is going to get him, why have they not announced it yet?
Because they're waiting on him. Because I think he's holding out.
He's holding out for Mercedes.
And I don't think Mercedes is going to take him.
I think him and Toto have been talking.
Yeah, they might have been, but I don't think Toto wants him. And if he does, I'm excited to see him in the seat, but I just don't think it's going to happen. I don't think Sainz is going to go to Mercedes at all.
I think the only thing that could sway me in my thought is obviously if the decision comes out and I'm totally wrong. But the only other piece of it that could sway me is if Williams offers him a long-term contract versus a shorter-term contract with Mercedes. Not that I think Toto would do it, but I also know I'm being realistic in the thought that Toto wants Antonelli, but wants Antonelli to prove himself, which again, I don't. George did it. George obviously, did something to spark an interest with Toto at Williams, but is Toto old school in the sense that he wants to see what a driver can do before he just does the Red Bull strategy, pulls him in for half a season and then drops him. You know what I mean?
Antonelli is not performing as he should, where Sainz is. He's fairly consistent. He doesn't DNF as much. So I do see that, but that's why I think Williams is because I think Williams can offer him longevity in the sport. Who's to say that Mercedes is not just going to give him a 1-year contract and then come the new regulations, Sainz is just up in the air?
But how much longevity does Williams really have in the sport?
They're not leaving. I think people would fight for them forever. They're like one of the oldest teams and they haven't changed hands.
All I know is there's a lot of companies that are begging to enter Formula One.
And Williams is like, we've been here since the start, bitch.
How long can you afford to stay afloat? If anything, Haas is looking better than Williams this year.
Well, that's what I think. That's why I think that with Val's, what he's doing is he's trying to update. He's trying to get better technology. He's trying to get a better team so that people do invest. Because the one thing Williams lacks is exposure. And now that Drive to Survive is out, Albon has some of the coolest gear going on right now. His stuff is cute. He's really giving the team this brand new look. I wish Sargent was better at that. But I think Williams is coming up. I think they're doing great.
No offense to Williams. I just tell us so that I can shut up about it and not have any, I'm tired of looking at rumors. I'm tired of hearing about the nonsense.
Look Carlos in the eye and be like, what the hell is going on?
I think it's Mercedes. I think Toto plays that long game, man. Think about how long it took for him to make the decision to bring in George and drop Valtteri. It was late. It was late in the season.
Which is going to be crazy if late in the season, Toto's like, Antonelli, and Sainz is like, well, I got nowhere.
The moment we see this, the rest will fall into place. The moment we see either Mercedes pick or Sainz pick, or Mercedes pick Sainz.
Yeah. That's really all we have. The other one that was
there's one more.
Zone was Magnussen to Haas.
No.
Or Magnussen to leave Haas.
Yeah, Magnussen's leaving Haas, but that's already a given.
We already knew that.
Behrman and Ocon. But there was one more thing about this weekend that we didn't talk about. The spicy ass cooldown room, dude.
Between Lando and Hamilton.
And Hamilton.
Where Hamilton was like, how'd you guys get so fast? He's like, you guys used to be fast.
He literally just says, you guys got a fast car. You guys are fast out there. And you used to be fast. It's like, bitch, don't get spicy with me. I'm just giving you a compliment, motherfucker. This is my 200 podium, bitch.
Yes, I will say that, but yeah, I can't imagine what's going through Norris's mind in that room. Like, it's the cooldown room, and Norris was willing to punch someone, I bet. Yeah. Like, if someone told me that you're doing an excellent job,
he throws the hat on the ground.
Yeah, he just slaps the Pirelli hat.
Yeah, like, I will say that Norris, moments after the race, is emotional and it's totally to be expected, and he does gracefully like come, correct himself, or he's thinking more clearly, after the race. But I'm just like, bitch, don't come at the GOAT like that, man. Like, that's his 200th podium. Like, who do you think you are?
Watch it. This is some history being made, son. Yeah. That's hilarious. I mean, we'll see.
All right, what do we got?
I'm still thinking about going to Austin.
Oh, should we
talk about my plan?
I really, I want to do it next year.
Next one, we're
coming. How much time we got? Well, we got to talk about Belgium. Or no, Spa.
So next race is the Belgian Grand Prix Spa, and it's an epic one. I mean, people have died at Spa. Like, it's a seriously scary track because it's known to rain. I don't think when it was the last time it didn't rain, at least for one of the weekends. It was actually, at one point, Spa was closed. They thought it was actually too dangerous. So for a brief period of time, they closed it down, and then they modified it. And they've modified it multiple times throughout like the years. Let's see, how many turns are on it? We got
44 laps. Turn wise, we have 19 turns. First Grand Prix was 1950. Circuit length is 7.004 kilometers. Valtteri holds the lap record at a minute 46.286 in 2018. Let's see what's they got any cool facts. Cool.
I have Hamilton on the fastest lap.
I'm pulling.
What's your sources?
F1.
Oh.
2018 says lap record 1 minute 46 seconds 0.286. 2018 Valtteri Bottas. Was this the one where he's like, James, respectfully?
Yeah. Yeah, this one is a fun track. I think we'll see some interesting drives. This track is interesting because Michael Schumacher holds the record for 6 wins around this. And then Ayrton Senna holds the second one for 5. And then there's a tie with 4 between Jim Clark, Kimi, and Lewis. Max Verstappen has 3. So if he gets one more, he will tie with Lewis.
It's right next to where the Battle of the Bulge was fought.
Yeah, interesting. And it's changed shape. So, like, it's changed shape 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different times. This new Spa has only been since 2005, I think, it's saying. But what they're using right now, they've also used it in 1983, something around there. But that should be an excellent race, and we will be back to talk about that next week.